worst threat toward the north and east. You can track it on our CBS Austin Storm Tracker weather app. In terms of impacts, elevated surfaces, trees, bridges, and overpasses. Maybe some untreated roads, nothing worse. No power outages. This is not that big of a deal. So temperatures continue to hold below freezing through the morning hours. That's when the bulk of the precip falls. As we head past lunchtime, we warm above freezing, and watch this. Everything starts to clear out. And here we are between systems by this time tomorrow night. Worst case scenario, doesn't bring us all that much ice. Instead, it's actually looking pretty good. So tomorrow, a little bit of precip, still some freezing drizzle issues early, warming up to 40 degrees late. And then we see better things to come. Still cold Friday, Saturday. Those 70s next week look wonderful. We'll be right back.
Your Storm Tracker weather with Chief Meteorologist Chik Windler.
And it is good to hear that the roads are holding up. Pre-treatment makes a huge difference, and as we track this ice, it could have been a lot worse, but luckily it's just windshields and surfaces that are elevated that are dealing with little bits of light icing. You can send us your photos and videos to chime in, cbsaustin.com/chime in. We welcome those. Right now, 29 degrees. We've dropped another degree. Unfortunately, we also set a record that I don't think anyone wanted to claim. 56-degree temperature drop, the largest 24-hour temp drop ever recorded for Austin. Yesterday, 88. We dropped to 32 24 hours later at 3 this afternoon. All right, so this is storm system number 1, which will probably bring us our heaviest precip between about 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. Less than 1/10 of an inch of ice, I'm pleased to say. Here's storm system number 2, and the timing between these may give us a gap to where we warm up above freezing before system number 2 gets to us. That is why I've got my fingers crossed, and I'm optimistic that we won't have to deal with a repeat of icing tomorrow night and on into Friday morning. So not a lot going on here, but temperature certainly cold and some very spotty light mist and light freezing drizzle that might create some issues just on bridges, overpasses, a few locations, not widespread. It's also quite chilly out there with teens for wind chills. So the winter weather advisory in effect area-wide until lunchtime tomorrow. Worst threat toward the north and east. You can track it on our CBS Austin Storm Tracker weather app. In terms of impacts, elevated surfaces, trees, bridges, and overpasses. Maybe some untreated roads, nothing worse. No power outages. This is not that big of a deal. So temperatures continue to hold below freezing through the morning hours. That's when the bulk of the precip falls. As we head past lunchtime, we warm above freezing, and watch this. Everything starts to clear out. And here we are between systems by this time tomorrow night. Worst case scenario, doesn't bring us all that much ice. Instead, it's actually looking pretty good. So tomorrow, a little bit of precip, still some freezing drizzle issues early, warming up to 40 degrees late. And then we see better things to come. Still cold Friday, Saturday. Those 70s next week look wonderful. We'll be right back.
Your Storm Tracker weather with Chief Meteorologist Chik Windler.
And it is good to hear that the roads are holding up. Pre-treatment makes a huge difference, and as we track this ice, it could have been a lot worse, but luckily it's just windshields and surfaces that are elevated that are dealing with little bits of light icing. You can send us your photos and videos to chime in, cbsaustin.com/chime in. We welcome those. Right now, 29 degrees. We've dropped another degree. Unfortunately, we also set a record that I don't think anyone wanted to claim. 56-degree temperature drop, the largest 24-hour temp drop ever recorded for Austin. Yesterday, 88. We dropped to 32 24 hours later at 3 this afternoon. All right, so this is storm system number 1, which will probably bring us our heaviest precip between about 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. Less than 1/10 of an inch of ice, I'm pleased to say. Here's storm system number 2, and the timing between these may give us a gap to where we warm up above freezing before system number 2 gets to us. That is why I've got my fingers crossed, and I'm optimistic that we won't have to deal with a repeat of icing tomorrow night and on into Friday morning. So not a lot going on here, but
Hello, what's going on, you guys? So it's really quiet outside. I'm sitting here and thinking at some point things are going to start to get going, and instead, as we take a look right now, as of 12:22 a.m., there is hardly anything showing up on radar. I'm Chik Windler. Hope you're doing well. Mac, hey, what's going on? Thanks for checking in tonight. Rod says you smile. Check the temperature. It's 24. Whoa, that is chilly in Pantego. and 30 in Christmas. That is a good reason to smile, as if it's a little bit warmer for you. Part of the comment, the first comment got cut off, so I apologize. Oh, it's Hanson. Hanson, what's going on? Thanks for checking in. Rachel, how are you? You say that your windshield iced over on the drive home. I hope everyone's able to stay safe and warm and all that good stuff. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Thanks for checking in. So as you can see, temperatures are sitting in the mid to upper 20s. Oh, by the way, I'm still at work, so there will be no dog sightings, no skippers and no Ewoks. Wanted to find out what you guys think about the new look. A little fancy schmancy look. All right, let's talk about where things stand. Honestly, the more that time goes by, the less I'm impressed with the potential of this system. I actually think we may be able to make it through this pretty much unscathed, which would be pretty nice. There was one accident that happened right around 7 o'clock over on the flyover at Highway 71 and the 130 toll road down near the airport in Del Valle. 10 cars involved in that one. Literally, that's the only area that I've had a report of icing. So fingers crossed. Let's hope that we don't have anything more than that as we continue working through the rest of this evening. Hanson, you said a little bit of freezing rain early this evening. Yeah, I went outside earlier just to check conditions and did my Facebook Live with my ice scraper, and I figured there would be more to talk about after that, but since then, there's hardly anything on radar, so really quiet, which, hey, I am not complaining. We'll just go with it. Nice little gap in the rainfall, the freezing rain. Okay, so let's take a look. Temperature right now is at 29, and I think it'll stay right around 29 through much of the overnight. Probably going to start to see temperatures warm up once we get towards sunrise. So right now I have us thawing out in Austin to 33 degrees by 9 a.m. So there are a whole bunch of schools that are on 2-hour delays, and I think 2 hours is just about right in order for things to improve, be out of the woods, and then everyone can head to school and get out on the roads once conditions have improved. And high temperature, probably going to struggle in the hill country to get much warmer than, mid to upper 30s, but in Austin, I'm being optimistic. I think we could hit 40 with drier conditions moving in. Next up, there's actually going to be a weak little front that kind of comes through here, a Pacific front, which is why temperatures will not be much colder with it. And between the systems, as you can see, here's the cold front I've drawn in. Between the systems, we actually may have a little gap where we don't have precip, and then the precip moves back in. And I'm hoping that the timing will be such that by the time the next round of precip moves in, that we end up seeing temperatures above freezing that by that time. So I'm somewhat encouraged by that chance. Oh, I will be safe on my drive home. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Rod says, heard sleet a little bit tonight. Must be in your part of the woods because I don't think there's been any sleet here proper. By the way, the National Weather Service says there's stronger forcing spreading through the big country. That's out like San Angelo, Abilene area. By the way, my microphone is right here because I'm wearing a really high-necked dress tonight. So it says there should be a steady increase in activity over the next several hours into early morning, worst of it closer to sunrise. That's for the DFW area. But I think I was kind of targeting between about 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. for when I think that the heaviest could be. But honestly, I didn't think it would be so quiet right now. So just cautiously optimistic that we'll get through this as well as we can. Meanwhile, Friday into Saturday, very slim chance that we might see some mix in the hill country, but I think it'll be warmer than that into the Austin area, so I'm not anticipating any ice with that. And then we finally get to climb out of the cold and see some sunshine move back and everything as well. By the way, earlier, I don't know about you all, but hearing that Ukraine is now being waged war against, it really brought it home to me. Here I was, thinking, the weather is the most important thing on the planet. And then I went, no, the weather's really not that much important. I really, my heart is aching for anyone who's there. So it kind of put things in perspective for me. Weather is certainly not the most important thing. Innocent people's lives are, it's just, for me, like mind-boggling. So part of the reason I took so long to hop on Facebook Live is I've kind of been following on Twitter all of the events there, and I mean, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. So, yeah, weather takes a back seat in my opinion, especially since we're not going to be dealing with anything too bad anyway. Oh, goodness. So Georgetown school's delayed, says Hanson. Thomas, how are you? Um, Mac watching as you speak. Yeah, I think I could probably stay up all night watching the coverage of that. It's like it's scary. It's downright scary. So we'll just talk about the weather real quick, and then chances are I'm going to head home and have trouble getting to sleep anyway. Oh my goodness. But yeah, really thoughts with everyone who's out there. And I know so many people have family members or friends who may be in Ukraine. Um, from a journalistic standpoint, all the reporters covering this, you appreciate the coverage, but you also hope that they stay out of harm's way as well. So yeah, a lot. Temperature-wise, we did hit 48 degrees just after midnight last night, and then of course we tanked with temperatures falling the whole time. But this too shall pass, right? Can you believe it? We went from 88 to now 29. Just insane. Nicole says, updates, yeah, you're up late for that too. I think a lot of people are probably in the same situation. I think many of us, I would consider myself a bit naive. I just thought maybe it was people puffing their chests out, but that they wouldn't actually like execute on the threats. And now we're seeing bombs and all this stuff. It's unfortunate to say the least. All right, allergy report. The cedar count was in the high range. But you know what? I don't think anybody talked about cedar today. I think all the people talked about was how cold it was, how windy it was, and whether you got any freezing rain or freezing drizzle. But yeah, cedar was in the high range, and elm in the moderate range, and mold on the low side. All right, so the winter weather alert, keeping it up, although it's nothing like what we saw in 2021. At times during the 2021 icing events, we had some spots that had 3/4 of an inch of ice on tree limbs, and it was insane. In this instance, at this point, I would be surprised if we see spots get more than 1/10 of an inch of ice. Very, very slim outside chance of 1/4 of an inch of ice. Neither of those will be anything like what we saw a year ago. In addition, this won't even be, in my opinion, as bad as what we saw earlier in February 3rd, with the first icy event that we had. It doesn't seem like it's comparing. Here was a look at my windshield earlier tonight here in North Austin, and it looked like it was just wet, and I took my hand and I was like, oh yeah, that's just wet. And then I ran my windshield wipers and you could hear the I was like, oh, nope, that's actually ice. So we appreciate any time that you have a chance to post some pictures or share them with us. You can always put them on my Facebook feed or tweet me at Chicago Weather. Or you can send them to our entire weather department here, weather@cbsaustin.com. But yeah, we always appreciate your contributions. Much, much appreciated. I'm not keeping up with the comments like I'm supposed to. My goodness. I think the box is too small for me to follow along properly. Oh, but I'm trying. Let's see. Diego said hi. Robert, what's going on? Mansfield, 23 degrees. Yeah, you guys got worse than we did, that's for sure. Rachel said that happened to your windshield while driving. Oh, see, that's the worst, when you start losing visibility while you're actually out there on the roads. Well, I'm glad you made it home safely. 29, the current temperature outside. Brr, right? And by the way, we set a crazy record. 56-degree temperature drop. The largest 24-hour temperature drop ever reported. Not just for February, not just for today. No, ever reported ever. 88 degrees to 32 degrees in 24 hours time. Just insane. I certainly hope we don't do that anytime soon, ever again. That is my opinion. All right. Meantime, we've got basically 2 more chances of wintry precipitation. This, I know it seems like it's fading out right here, but we are starting to see a little bit, potentially a little bit more that will develop out here and then work its way in. Then we're going to have a nice little gap right in here, which I hope will coincide with Thursday night into Friday morning so we can get through that. And then after that will be this next system, which is basically just a upper level area of low pressure accompanying by a Pacific cold front. And when it pivots through, it could bring us some scattered rain showers. And then Saturday we'll have another chance of showers. So, I mean, kind of just an unsettled stretch, that's for sure. Zooming in a little bit more. Seriously, radar is super quiet. Not much going on. It's just cold. Earlier, there were some spotty areas of freezing precip. I guess if we zoom in really close, like right to near I-35 in North Austin. Yep, a little pixel, not too far away from, North Lamar area. But honestly, there's really not too much going on. Mist isn't going to cause horrible issues, especially since many of the roads have been pre-treated, easy for me to say, which we most definitely appreciate. Hanson, you say you remember you had to move all the trees in front of your job this time last year. Yeah, because there were limbs. I had one of my neighbor's trees crash down on our house with a loud thud because it was ice laden. It was insane. All right, so not only cold, but we've also got wind. So it feels like 18 at the airport, feels like 17 in Georgetown. Yeah, you get the idea. Light icing still possible. The entire area under a winter weather advisory until noon on Thursday. Elevated surfaces, bridges, overpasses, the main concerns. I really am optimistic that we're going to be pretty good. We're going to make it through this one without too terribly much in the way of issues. You can always track this stuff for us anywhere you are. CBS Austin Storm Tracker app. In addition, the worst conditions are North Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas in the pink, which is a winter storm warning, which is one step up from what we are dealing with here right now. So honestly, ice impacts, right now I'm anticipating that we'll just see more of the same, what we've already been watching, which has been occasional elevated surfaces getting that, icing, and it won't cause any problems. It's just something you notice. You're like, oh, look, there's an icicle hanging from that sign or whatever it might be. Trees, they're going to be a little glaze on them, but not heavy enough to bring them down or damage branches. Bridges and overpasses, we've already seen that one accident. There could be some additional icy patches. I saw a report of some areas in eastern Bell County that were reporting elevated roadways that were icy. Untreated roads, that's a big question mark. It was so warm for 2 days. It wouldn't shock me if some untreated roads do ice up. And then treated roads and power outages, I think you're good to go. Everything should be fine as far as that's concerned. Working through for the next several hours, what is interesting to me is this particular computer model, which is a high-res computer model that usually does a decent job, was indicating that we should have decent amount of freezing drizzle across our area at midnight. Well, obviously it's a little past midnight, but there's nothing on radar, like nothing. It does show a little bit of enhancement by around 3:30 in the morning, continuing till about 7 a.m., and then everything really starts to shut down. By lunchtime, 35 degrees, and basically turning over to some light rain in the hill country, drying out, and then everything pretty much moving out by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon as we thaw out. And then look at this, we may even see some clearing by Thursday night ahead of the next system. So, I mean, I'm hoping it's not too bad. This is, my friends, the worst case scenario. Remember, I've been looking at different computer models, and this is the one that has been the most bullish throughout this entire event on the worst conditions. And even this is not too bad. At worst, maybe 1/10 of an inch of icing in Wilco. I mean, that's really not awful. So I would say just avoid driving on bridges and overpasses if you can, or wait until it's above freezing, which right now I'm thinking we're going to get above freezing by about 10 a.m., 9, 10 a.m. And then after that, everything should be good, and we should be fairly dry once we head into the afternoon with that high temperature around 40 degrees. How much more rain could we have? Even this doesn't seem too terribly realistic for us to pick up 0.17 of an inch of rain in Austin between now and midday, which would be potential that could freeze. I have a hunch that even this might be a little bit overdone. So, but we'll see. And then as we head through Friday and Saturday, remember mainly liquid as opposed to ice, we could pick up a total of maybe as much as 1/3 of an inch of rain. But initial where I stopped at with the 17/100ths is where the icing potential would be. So another look at a different computer model, just because I like to mix things up and show you different options. This one a little more spotty, which is even overdone from where we are right now. Let's advance through by 7 a.m. It has a decent little band over I-35, which would be, if it happens, a good reason for the schools to have all delayed by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It still has some light precip over us. It doesn't clear out as quickly as the other computer model does, but you get the idea. It's also a little bit colder. It does, though, clear us out by midnight on Thursday night into early Friday. Temperatures dropping. A weak front, remember that front that I said might swing through late Thursday into Friday? There you go. And then as we head into Friday morning, we start out relatively dry, but then more showers may develop. And as you can see down south, this particular computer model is saying there might be a little bit of light mix even early Friday. And I think that moisture will kind of nudge northward. Hanson says, oh yeah, that's weird that your comment just popped up. I've got to adjust this box. I think it's probably blocking part of Rachel's comment. Let me see. Go to the phone for the extra check. Oh, Rachel says great news, and Sally says hello. Yeah, I'm going to work on this little box here, make sure it can fit in a little bit more of your comments, because right now we're not seeing quite enough. But I was super excited. Our graphic artist here at work, see the template that I made before was just me goofing around, and then I thought I would go to the experts. So our graphic artist here at work, I was like, hey, is there any chance you can kind of take what I worked with and make it look amazing? And so I really think it's beautiful. He did all the cool little graphic weather update thing and all that kind of thing. But I just need to figure out how to fit the little box in there. You know, I'll figure it out. It's all good. Looking ahead to Friday, I did mention a 30% chance of some showers. Doesn't look very heavy or steady, just a couple showers here and there. And temperatures should make it into maybe 42, 43 degrees. Wouldn't that be nice? I know, it's crazy. We went from 88 degrees and now I'm excited about 44. Then Friday night into Saturday, most of the indications are we should stay fairly warm. I went with a low of 34 Saturday morning, but this computer model, as you can see, has us in the low 40s Saturday morning with some light rain. That'd be amazing. Cold rain over anything I see, we will take it. All right, so 7-day rainfall potential. Even though you see that I've got these really high potential percentages, I should say, the amounts are so low. So let's look ahead to where we see the drier weather. Here we are at Saturday morning, still some showers around. So Saturday could be a dreary and damp day, a high temperature only about 46 degrees. And then we wait for things to move out. So after a chilly, showery day on Saturday, cloud cover starts off your Sunday, and then voila, sunshine develops. Monday, looking like a mostly sunny day. High temperatures could be close to 70. And then as we head through on into Tuesday and beyond, it looks like temperatures are going to rebound quite nicely as well. Oh, that's very interesting. My other computer, oh, there it goes. I was like, it's taking its sweet time going through the next week or so. And then by March 1st, which is, you know, a while from now, it's Tuesday, this computer model is suggesting there may be a few rain showers. I did not include them in my forecast yet. I was keeping things dry, thinking that this moisture might stay to our south, so stay tuned. Meanwhile, we've seen a change. The latest updates from the Climate Prediction Center are keeping the cooler than average weather toward the north and west and are actually bringing us, lo and behold, something we haven't seen in a while, which is warmer than average. And this is going to be that March 4th through March 10th time frame. So take the cooler away and just talk about milder times to come. So maybe we'll get a spring break by spring break. What do you say? I think that sounds like a plan. Precip-wise, also seeing a trend away from the drier trend, which was showing up for the first, like the very, very end of February, in that stretch that we'll see starting Sunday and beyond. But now we may see a slightly wetter trend for the very beginning part of March. And finally, I think we're back down to the 7-day forecast. So boom, there you go. I'm looking forward to dry sunshine, quiet weather. I think that'll be kind of nice. Let me double check, make sure I didn't miss any other comments. I'll work on that chat box in the future. Those of you on the Facebook page for CBS Austin, tune in. Avery Tomasco will keep you updated if the precipitation does pick up. He'll